Good morning, respected dignitaries, esteemed faculty members, administrative staff, and most importantly, our incoming students. Welcome to Gandhi Institute of Technology and Management. It is with great joy and deep sense of pride that I stand before you today to warmly welcome each one of you to Day 3 of Student Induction Program 2025. I am Ashrita from Anchoring Club Kalakriti, your host for the day. I now take this opportunity to welcome Mr. Errol D'Souza, sir, the esteemed Vice Chancellor of our university. His commitment to nurturing talent, encouraging innovation, and upholding academic integrity inspires every student and faculty member alike. Please join me in extending a warm welcome as I invite our esteemed Vice Chancellor to kindly come forward and address the gathering.
Okay, good morning and greetings to all of you and welcome once again to GITAM University. We look forward to interacting and engaging with you in the spirit of our vision, which is to be, as you know, an exceptional knowledge-driven institution, advancing on a culture of honesty and compassion so that we make a difference to the world. We take a rather broad view of what constitutes knowledge. Okay? Some of your best memories in life will always be not just the learning in the classroom, but also what transpires in the playfield, in the student accommodation, and in student clubs. Make the best of your time here and create opportunities for memories that you will always cherish. This century is marked by leaps in what has been called as human capital acquisition that has contributed to human well-being through inventions and new products that have benefited lives across the globe. However, there is a lot of concern about some of the greatest inventions of the current era. Take mobile phones and social media. Okay? For example, are these good inventions? You may think it's crazy to even ask such a question, given that mobiles have achieved the fastest penetration ever in human history. By 2020, for instance, more than half of all humans were using some form of social media. With that sort of usage, one would think that people love it. An interesting way to figure out the value of a product, though, is to find out how many people wish it had never been invented. It turns out that it is hard for anyone to avoid it because when everyone is on it, as you know, then if you miss out on it, you miss out on friends, information, and trends. In fact, all of you, I am sure, use social media regularly. And I'm seeing some in the audience doing it right now, okay, and spend a considerable amount of time each day on platforms. Surveys show that respondents at your age spend at least 2 to 3 hours on social media daily. Is that good? More than half of your generation say in surveys that it has benefited your lives, but there is still a significant 30% or so who say that it has harmed them. The types of harm reported include anxiety, eating disorders, and most of all, sleep deprivation. A serious harm of social media is compulsive overuse that interferes with success in other areas of life. Don't get me wrong, people enjoy texting each other, watching movies, and searching for helpful information or online videos. Yet, many find social media addictive and causing them to forfeit activities that are beneficial for their longer term well-being, such as spending time in tasks that build capabilities and skills. Smartphones have beneficial applications, but at the same time, it has made people more isolated, sedentary, and unable to focus. A decade ago, we shifted our attention every 3 minutes or so. Okay? People were known not to be able to focus on anything beyond 3 minutes. So I'm taking a risk speaking to you for more than 3 minutes. Okay? But nowadays, that attention span has reduced to 45 seconds. And we do that all day long. Researchers in the field of informatics state that the average person checks emails and social media many times a day and switches tasks on their computer more than 50 times a day. Across a range of tests, what has this done to all of us? We find that the average person's ability to reason and solve novel problems peaked sometime in the year 2010 and has been declining since then. The OECD's international benchmarking test for performance by 15 to 18-year-olds in reading, mathematics, and science tests, what are known as the famous PISA tests, in their latest round in 2024, showed a long-term deterioration in an average person's ability to reason and solve problems. And this is not confined to your generation, Gen Z alone. Okay? Early generations show a similar pattern, with visible declines across all age groups in flagship assessment trends of even adult skills. Since 1980, the Monitoring the Future study, which is a worldwide study, has been asking respondents whether they have difficulty thinking, concentrating, or learning new things. The share of those who report difficulties was stable. So if you look at that share from 1980 till about the 2000s, then it was like a constant share. But after that, it climbed up significantly till the mid-2010s. And this is way before COVID, which we attribute to almost all the problems that we see today. Okay? So it is a pre-COVID problem, and it is attributable to the way in which we interact on the internet and social media. So there is still a case of an intentional and active use of digital technologies. When you actively browse the web and internet, and that is beneficial. What has changed in social media is the constant presentation of notifications. Okay? There's always something popping up on your phone which you had not asked for, and there is therefore a deluge of content. What it does is it halts your self-directed behavior. You're more prompted to do something than to actually, on your own, actively engage with the media. And that passive consumption of the feeds that you are constantly presented with engages you to do constant context switching. This has impacted our ability to self-regulate, has overloaded our own working memories, and distracts us and focuses away from focusing on things that are in fact impactful for our lives. If we move forward, today the other big development that has impacted us is artificial intelligence. And it has changed how we live and work since at least the invention of the mobile phone. There is little doubt about its ability to change how we go about our days. So this has resulted in calls to teach how to use AI or how to include it in the curriculum and to rework teaching and assessment. It is part of a broader debate. Should our curriculum be skill-based or should we make it knowledge abundant? Should universities be equipping students like you with skills they need in the future or give them a broad foundation of knowledge? There is a case for knowledge abundant curriculums. As we all know, as humans, we are very bad about predicting the future. What skills would we need in the world of AI? We know there is no such skill that guarantees an income forever. Till a few years ago, coders were thought to be in high demand and enjoyed security. But now they face an uncertain job market. But that does not mean that we do not need to understand code and how it works and how it is that computers process information. Our knowledge of technology will gain significance as we will increasingly need to justify why AI has reached a certain conclusion or why a particular option has been picked. And so, having a more foundational, knowledge driven approach to education is always better than just skilling you for just tomorrow. It's important that you build the knowledge foundations that allows you to live for the long term. Just like with mobile phones, recent research has revealed the dual-edged nature of AI in cognitive development. AI tools can enhance your learning outcomes because they can provide you personalized instruction and immediate feedback and support your skill acquisition. However, growing evidence is showing us that increasing reliance on these tools can lead to what we call as cognitive offloading. Cognitive offloading occurs when you delegate your cognitive tasks to external aids like AI and reduce your own engagement in deep reflective thinking. Findings are revealing a significant negative correlation between frequent AI usage and critical thinking abilities mediated by increased cognitive offloading. Take, for instance, Anthropic Sam Altman recently brought out the education report of Anthropic. It's subtitled, How Do University Students Use Claude? It found that students use Claude to improve educational content. That is good. This often entails designing practice questions, editing essays, or summarizing academic material. Students also frequently use Claude to provide technical explanations or solutions for academic assignments. About 34% of students surveyed did that. They worked with AI to debug and fix errors in coding assignments, implement programming algorithms and data structures, and explain or solve mathematical problems. This turning to Claude to perform what we would call as lower order cognitive tasks, such as applying a framework or theory or understanding or remembering textual material that you've come across in a class, was much less prevalent, however, than the usage of Claude for completing higher order cognitive functions such as creating or analyzing. And it is precisely those functions that are going to be determinants of being relevant and having the ability to get by in a tech-enabled world. So even when you use AI, you have to be careful that it is not diminishing your own ability to function and to be job ready in the long term. So I hope that as you go through the portals of our university, you learn to smartly use the tools of the modern age, the internet, the mobile, and AI. There's a name for being fooled into thinking you're dealing with an intelligent being when you're not. It's called the Eliza effect. It comes from the first ever chatbot that was built by the computer scientist Joseph Weizenbaum way back in 1966 and named after a famous character in a novel by George Bernard Shaw, Eliza Doolittle. So Mr. Weizenbaum thought of his program as a simple trick to explore human-machine communication by simulating conversation by just using a pattern recognition methodology that gave you an illusion that something that was being understood was being said. So Eliza was a natural language processing computer program that he developed, and it could engage in conversation, but of course, it would not be able to understand the convocation. It just understood a pattern of words and it was able to therefore respond to you. But it did not necessarily give meaning to those words or understood what was being said. But Weizenbaum was horrified when he found that people actually thought they were engaging with real humans. He talks in his biography about how his secretary, who was testing it, asked him to leave the room because her conversation with the chatbot had become too intimate. Today, many of us are under the spell of an Eliza effect with AI. This spring, OpenAI advertised ChatGPT's ability to write a story about grief. Okay? So ChatGPT is asked, write a story about grief, but in the style of metafiction. Okay? This is a very hard genre in literature, metafiction, in which the narrator is supposed to weave personal details into the story. Sam Altman praised the passage that was generated, saying that such a complex genre associated with what he called as pretentious literary types, you can take that to mean a nice reference to professors, could only be written by an intelligent agent. But we should be cautious about such boasts. All it proves is that ChatGPT is an expert imitator of style and not that it is intelligent. We should not succumb to the Eliza effect. Pattern recognition is not the same as understanding and meaning. I hope that apart from acquiring various forms of knowledge, spend your time at the university finding your ikigai, as one of our welcome banners states, and by cultivating character. It is character that is the most enduring way for you to improve your future, your reputation, and your career. It involves developing a sense of purpose, which has three components. The first is finding an identity, which means having well-developed career interests. So spend your time at the university finding out what it is that motivates you and what it is that you want to do with your life and your career. The second is what I call as metacognition, which is a big term, but it means nothing other than be self-aware of yourself and your beliefs and your opinions. It requires you to be aware of the biases and prejudices that you have as an individual. All of us have those. But to understand at the same time how privileged we are to be part of an educational setup and to have what we do. And the third is to develop a sense of service or a recognition of how your life and your career is going to contribute not just to yourself, but also to your family and to the world and society around you. A university is a place to have fun, but it is also a place for tenacity and hard work. And if you balance that with leisure and other activities, that allows you to round off your character. A dedication to work will actually make you realize better things about yourself and allow you to deliver results for yourself in the short run at the same time as you build capacities for your future. Finally, do not expect to be given blueprints from us about what choices you have to make. You have to take ownership of your own decisions. That is the end game of any university. Clear decisions will only arise when you take responsibility for them, not by us directing you as to what you need to do. Only if you are willing to bear the consequences of your decision do you have the right to take it. Once again, Welcome to GITAM University, and I wish you all the best in the few years you're going to spend with us.
Thank you so much, sir, for those gracious words. Now, we move on to the session of Universal Human Values, Physical Well-Being, guided by Mr. Rupesh Agatamodi, sir. In this session, we will explore how physical health forms the foundation for a balanced and fulfilling life. I now welcome sir onto the stage for the session on Universal Human Values, Physical Well-Being.